Hey guys, it's Spaces Sims, and we are back with more Paradigm Paradox, continuing Yukonami's route. I did not play any of this yesterday. I had to report our other game, so I forgot everything. I think we were fighting. We went out to show him Augment, and then he got a little crazy with the Vector, and we were like, oh, dude, this guy's crazy. Which kind of funny because she's like, oh, Yukonami's kind of nice, and you're like, oh, she's got a little crush on him, and then she's like, this man's insane, and it's like, well, it's kind of fun how she's flip flopping back and forth. Curious how this is gonna go. I have a feeling I feel like this route is leading us to her being like, yeah, no, it's fine, everything's fine, he's awesome. Where in the back of her mind, she's screaming internally because he's crazy. Whatever. I plunked down in the chair beside the bed, a watchful eye on Lizzie's sleeping form. I sighed softly to avoid waking her up. After everything, I made up an excuse to escape Yukonami and return to the room. I have to be getting back now. Oh, really? Well, see you later. I'm so glad you didn't try to challenge me on it. I don't know what I'd do if you wouldn't let me go. That sounds promising? Question mark? You know what I mean? I don't know if we did, that sounds like an ending right there. We're gonna be in a cage. He would be the cage one. Okay? Just keep that in your mind. We're kind of sort of in a cage if you think about the little bubbles that we live in. They're just gigantic and everybody else is in there with us. But, still, Yukonami would be the cage boy. You know what, Gabe? Now that I've said that, if there's no cage in this, I might be slightly disappointed. Coming from the person who, first time encountering a cage, is like, fuck Toma! Fuck that bastard! What the hell? And now I'm like, I don't know, put me in a cage. Call me your sister. It's amazing how far the degeneracy goes, It's really amazing, the first experience playing an Otome game and the things that you were like, the audacity. Oh my god, and now you're like, hell yeah, put me in a cage, signed up for that. And oh, good times, guys. Props to anyone who's been here for the whole fucking crazy ass ride that this has been. I mean, it's been what? At least 6 to 7 years playing Otome games in the making of that happening. Also, funnier for those of you who are newer and might have watched one of the older Let's Plays and then come here and watch something that's more recent and then been like, holy shit. That happened in when I started my channel and I said, hi, we're starting. Hi, we're going to be playing games and Tour Guide Spacey. Hi, welcome to my channel. And now I'm like, what the fuck? I dropped the filter after a while. It got exhausting. Anyway, maybe he was satisfied enough at the sight of my trembling body. Yeah, this is just... These remarks are boding very interestingly for how his route's gonna go. At least in my imagination, and I'm gonna be slightly disappointed if they don't pan out that way, you know what I mean? We're like, this is fucked up. They have a very fucked up relationship dynamic. Wow! But okay, because, whatever. What's so amusing about my fear, anyway? He seemed to enjoy it, though not in a vicious way. It makes it all even creepier. I don't want to get too close to him. I don't know what he's capable of, but if I'm gonna be living here, I can't exactly avoid him. I guess for now I'll just do everything I can to avoid being around Yukonami. Maybe then he'll lose interest in me. I'm glad I'm not living in the same building as him. It's a small consolation, but I'm thankful regardless. I snapped out of my brooding. Lizzie was stirring in the bed, slowly waking from her slumber. I needed that. Morning, Spacey! As Lizzie slowly sat up, God, tongue twister, I gave her a big smile so she wouldn't catch on to my dark thoughts. Good morning, Lizzie. How do you feel? Good morning, Lizzie. How do you feel? She's like, you sound full of shit. Much better than before, that's for sure. I think all that sleep did me a world of good. Really? I'm so glad. What about you? Are you okay? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Why do you ask? I mean, you look pretty pale. Did something happen while I was asleep? Lizzie wasn't easily fooled. I reflexively put my hands to my face, trying to hide it. Lizzie's eyes narrowed as she took in my reaction. Convinced she was onto something, her eyes were filled with concern. Well, I guess I'm just tired. I'll be good as new as soon as I get some rest. Lizzie shook her head. My perky, positive tone of voice didn't fool her. You can stop trying to hide things from me. Lizzie, I let my shoulders slump. No point in trying to hide anything now. You saw right through me, huh? You're always a step ahead. Well, duh, I'm your best friend. Can't pull the wool over my eyes that easily. I'm just messing with you. Lizzie was joking around, but her expression softened nevertheless. Hey, I'm way calmer now. I'd like you to tell me the truth about this place and about everything that's happened. Right, okay, I'll tell you. Pushing my worries about Yukinami from my mind, I focused on explaining things to Lizzie. Here's what happened. You were attacked by a creature known as a vector. I told her everything, start to finish. About how people turn into vectors, about how she might be one, at least in part, and about how she was taken into the research district. I explained how I accepted help from Moravia, the leader of the Vectors, and brought Lizzie here, the ruined Vector colony at Tau. It's like you want me to pet you and you want to snug with me, but then you keep biting me. You're being a dick. Obviously, I'm talking to the bird. Lizzie remained quiet while I told her everything. She was clearly shocked, but she remained calm. I see. It's a lot to take in, to say the least, but I appreciate you being honest with me. But after everything I just heard, I'm still curious about one thing. What? I'll answer any question I possibly can. Lizzie nodded before continuing. The Vectors are the monsters that show up after dark, right? They're the reason we have curfew, correct? You sound like you're privy to a whole bunch of top-secret Vector information. How come? I can't believe we left. That's what I was wondering. I'm like, we're telling her about the Vectors. I'm like, but we didn't mention we are a magical girl. I still hadn't explained the blooms yet. No wonder Lizzie was so confused and curious. There's nothing telling you you've already defected, so. It's privileged information, but it's not like we can ever go home again, so there's no need to keep quiet anymore. Lizzie, you remember the rumors we heard about superheroes who fight monsters, right? Well, truth is, I'm one of them. You? A superhero? You! Yeah. You can barely go down a flight of stairs without tripping. Aren't you just a normal girl? Wow. I saved your life, bitch. Well, this is what friends are for, though, to say shit like that to you. Like, are you sure? Is it really that unbelievable for me to have superpowers? I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but it is what it is. I am what I am. Oh, yeah? What's with the smirk? You think I'm joking? I expected you to be surprised, but this... Lizzie waved dismissively and shrugged at the same time. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty shocked, but I also know you'd never make up silly jokes in a situation as dire as this. But come on, it's still pretty unexpected. I had to giggle. Well, I admit it's all pretty out of left field. It's not as if I wasn't shocked myself. I told Lizzie the catalyst for my invitation to the Blooms had only happened recently. I knew you were hiding something. I guess that's the end of that little mystery. The tone of Lizzie's voice made me hang my head. I knew I'd hurt her by keeping secrets. I'm just going to say, because I know I said it when we started this, like, it would be fucking insane if they had Lizzie alive in this path, but during the Good Boys routes, she's dead. You killed her. Like, and it is, I am still floored that they did this, like, in a good way. Like, it is so, because you're like, oh. Every time we're talking to her, we're like, yeah, I'm so glad she's alive. And you're like, but why did it have to be like this? I mean, like, to be fair, neither side's really good or bad. They're both very gray. Because they both have things where you're like, yeah, no, that makes sense, and I totally understand your side of things. And they both have things like, yeah, but that's not also the way to go about it. What the fuck? You know? But, like, the Blooms boys... At least, I don't blame them for the decisions that are being made. They're kind of forced to do it, which I think is kind of interesting. Like, they kind of, like, Kaori and Haruka knew that the Vectors used to be humans, but they're not really given a choice. They have to fight them. So it's like, we know, but we have to do it type of a thing. It's not like they're like, yeah, no, too bad. Those are monsters. Fuck them. You know what I mean? But it is really interesting that they kind of did that. They're like, okay, so like, but we're going to make your love interest on that kind of like innocent in things. Sure, you could argue that, you know, well, they should stand up for what's right and what they believe, but that's not always something you're able to do. You know what I mean? Like, depending on where you live and the circumstances and like whatever, you are not always able to stand up for everything you believe in. It's a lot easier to say, you should just do what you believe and stand up for your beliefs. It's easier to say that than it is to do it a majority of the time. You know what I mean? So, like, they're in this situation where they don't really have much of a choice. And I think that's part of, too, why, I mean, obviously a lot of games and a lot of anime make it like, oh, like the young adult dystopian novels where it's like, teenage kid is here to save the world. You know, like Harry Potter. Look at Harry Potter. I mean, seriously, the kid was 11 and had to fight Voldemort. You know what I'm saying? Like, they do this like the child is the savior of the universe. Like, yeah, because that would ever fucking happen. Kid be crying and pissing himself in a corner. Most adults would too, to be fair. You know what I mean? But like in situations like in this particular game, kind of makes sense that they do it as like, okay, they're teenagers because you generally don't have a lot of say as a teenager. You are expected to do what the adults tell you and you don't have a lot of authority. So like if you were a young adult in this situation, I'm an adult, I have control over my life and situations. You know what I mean? It would be a little bit less understandable that they just kind of go with the flow. You'd be like, no, they should be standing up because you're kind of taught as a teenager. You do what the adults tell you. You do what the higher ups tell you. You do what the teachers tell you. You listen to authority. And like, even as an adult, you listen to authority. The government tells you something or your boss tells you something, but you still have more of a choice to be like, you know what? I don't agree with this. I am going to make a decision to go against that and to do something different. But as a teenager, it's like, you can't make those decisions for yourself because you're not advanced enough in your brain to do that. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit easier to write a story like this where they might not agree with everything, but they really don't have a choice. And for you as the player to understand and be like, yeah, I can kind of see why they don't have a choice. Where even if they were 25, they'd still like kind of really don't have a choice. And they're, in a way, property because, with their powers and everything. But it's easier to comprehend it when they're teenagers. You're like, oh, yeah, no, they really definitely don't. You know what I mean? Or to accept that they don't do anything about it. I don't know, that wasn't to a tangent, and I forgot what the point was, so I can't circle back around. But I do like that they made, like, Lizzie alive. At least to this point. I don't know if she's going to stay this way. She's going to turn into a vector. She's going to half monster. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's like, putting it in this, it kind of just makes you go, like, it makes it so difficult because you're like, but this is technically supposed to be like the bad guys. But, like, and still I lean more toward this is more the dark side versus the Blooms are on the technically more the righteous side, I suppose. But it's not that the people fighting with the vectors are totally evil for no fucking reason. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're like, I mean, I can kind of understand why they're doing what they're doing. Doesn't mean what they're doing is right. And the Blooms are a lot more innocent because they're kind of just forced to do this fighting. They're not the ones making these decisions. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that they love the idea. And they certainly try to fight back in a way like, ugh, the higher ups are doing this. Yeah, I don't like this. You can see that they don't love what's happening. So at least they're not like over there like, yes, kill the monsters. They're like, we have to do this to save the other people in the colony. So like, but you're still like, oh, I'm torn because in that path with her good boys, which should be theoretically like the quote unquote right path, Lizzie's dead. And then over here, this should be like, not exactly the right path. Not exactly. It's not necessarily bad, but it's also not exactly right. And Lizzie's alive, though. Like, it puts so much weight on you, and you're like, for a short, sweet little, well, not sweet little game, but for a short game, you know what I mean, that didn't get too in-depth with developing the world and the characters and everything, that kind of just like, this is what it is, okay. Like, that's a pretty heavy fucking, like, that's good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess going into it when you know that, like, the reviews are like, whatever, kind of questionable, you're thinking of it like, okay, it's going to be kind of quick. The story's not going to be that in depth, whatever. And then when you get to, like, deep kind of moral conundrums like this, you're like, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'm just more proud of it, you know? I don't know. But anyway. Yes, keeping secrets hurting her. I'm so sorry for not saying anything. Lizzie just gave me her usual bright smile. Well, I guess it wasn't info you could freely share. In any case, I'm glad I know the truth now. It was lonely when you were hiding all that from me, but all's well that ends well. That prompted me to bring up something that had been on my mind for a while. Hey, can I ask you something? Why were you in town that day? I thought for sure you were back at the dorm. Hey, I didn't do anything, no bite. Lizzie giggled, looking embarrassed. I guess I was still kind of half hoping you'd change your mind and come along to the cafe after all. Then, my face blanched. That meant it was all my fault Lizzie was attacked by that vector. That's putting even more weight on you. And you know what's worse about this? Is like if you'd done all the good boy routes and then you came here, you'd be like, okay, well, it's like we don't have to go back and remember this. I just have to remember what happened. No, we're going to go after 2 routes here. We're going back. And it's like, now that's going to weigh on me more. Shit, game. Way to make me feel guiltier. Never mind keeping the blooms a secret. If I hadn't worried Lizzie so much, she wouldn't have been in town that day. And she wouldn't have... And you know what's worse? Because now we're going to get the character development with her we didn't really get in the first route. When you're like, oh, I mean, it's sad she died because she's our friend. But, like, I felt like it should have been worse. This is going to make you feel worse because now she's here. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't look so glum. How you would have stuck around to eat something yummy even if you hadn't shown up that day? You're right. None of this would have happened if I'd gone back to the dorm. I'm sorry for making you worry, too. I'm so sorry. I couldn't help but apologize. I felt all messed up inside, but Lizzie just brushed it off. You got me out of there and you saved my butt. I'd say we're more than even. Out of there? Lizzie paused for a moment as she shuffled through her memories. I think I can remember at least part of what happened. Memories keep coming back to me. I was attacked by a vector and blacked out. I was unconscious for a while, and when I woke up, I was lying in a bed in an all-white room. At first, I thought it was a hospital, but I quickly noticed something was off. Then I realized my hands and feet were in restraints. I'm not going to let you snuggle with my hand if you're going to bite. You stop it. You're being a jerk. Restraints? My mind was kind of fuzzy, but I got the impression the room was filled with people in the same condition as me. Which we know, yeah. Then someone with a white coat gave me some kind of medicine, and I fell asleep again. That's all I can remember. The commander told me Lizzie had been kept in a restricted area of the research district, but I had no idea she'd been treated so horribly. I see. The commander didn't tell us that, though. He said the hospital, he lied. Rio was the one that told us that, right? I think that might have been a little bit of a typo. I was completely out of it, but some instinct told me I was being rescued. It sounds like it must have been terrible, Lizzie. I'm so glad we managed to get you out in time. So maybe the person with the white coat that did that was Rio. I touched her shoulder, but Lizzie shook her head. No, you might not have been in time after all. You said I've probably been vectorized too, right? I have a feeling going back to being a regular human might not be possible anymore. I wasn't sure what Lizzie was getting at. I felt lost. What do you mean? When I woke up, I immediately knew something was off about my body. While you were out, I got up and gave myself a once-over, and I found... Well, see for yourself. Oh, she got vector marks. Lizzie rolled up her shirt, exposing a bruise-like mark on her stomach. So she's going to end up being... This is either the start, and then she's going to full-on vector, or she's going to turn into like what Hyuga and Yukinami are, where like she's part. It looked like the markings the vectors bore. I felt my blood run cold. See, that's... Yeah, kind of weird, right? I'm sure there's something going on with my body. I can't explain why, but I'm sure this mark is a sign I'll never be able to go back to my life in Theta. So what happens to me now? What if I suddenly become a vector? What if I wind up attacking you? Then I'll kill you like I did. you know? And if this is a conversation where we're like, if you attack me, I'll take you down. And she's like, please do. Then I won't feel as bad about what happened. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Surprised, we both whirled around. Yukinami was standing in the open door. How long has he been there? I didn't sense him coming. He didn't even make a sound. You keep doing that, Bert. It's just the shadow of the nail. Good lord. If Yukinami noticed how freaked out I was by his sudden arrival, he might get annoyed. I focused on keeping my face neutral. What's not gonna happen? Didn't Rio tell you? She got an antibody shot, so she won't wind up like the others. The others? You mean the vectors and the herds? See, but that, again, and I think I hope I mentioned it. Maybe I was just thinking it when Rio said she got an antibody shot, whatever. It's like, so they have the ability to stop people from turning into vectors, but they just let it happen. Like, when we got there, they could have stopped everyone. Unless only the people in Tau have that. But it seems to me more like they don't really have the research facilities here that they would have in Theta. So that it sounds like Theta has the ability to stop people from turning into vectors, but instead they're like, let's prioritize research instead of let's save these people. We know we can stop them. They're going to be half vectors, but like, it's okay. We can work with that. They just let them turn into full-on monsters and like experiment on them and then like whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Yeah, well, not that she's a regular human anymore, though. Didn't Moravia tell you? Lizzie's body stiffened up and she turned away when Yukinami said she was no longer human. It must have hurt to hear it said out loud like that. There wasn't much I could do. I put my hand over Lizzie's, hoping to share whatever strength I could. It doesn't matter. As long as you're still Lizzie, that's more than good enough for me. Lizzie lifted her head. She smiled and nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. I'm so glad you didn't wind up as a vector. Yukinami narrowed his eyes when he heard my thoughts spoken aloud. Yeah, because, like, that's personally offensive to him because he's a vector, technically. Huh? So you hate vectors, but you're fine with accepting help from them? Oh, yikes. I shouldn't have worded it like that. That's not what I meant. I'm just glad Lizzie's able to keep her wits about her instead of mindlessly attacking human beings. Yukinami raised an eyebrow at this, but then turned away as if he suddenly lost interest. Well, whatever you think doesn't really matter to me anyway. Oh, before I forget, I'm going to be living here for a while, too. What? That was unexpected. I yelped a bit in surprise. Why? I don't know. Just seems like fun. There's so many rooms here anyway. What's the matter? Don't forget it's our home. Has been for ages. You got a problem? No. Even if I did, I wouldn't say as much out loud. Every once in a while, I can filter myself. This is bad. I was hoping to avoid Yukinami. I was just thinking about how lucky I was that he didn't live in the same building as me. Should have known that was coming, though. Well, I guess we'll be roomies from now on. Yukinami waved cheerfully as he left the room. I watched him go, dismayed. Now I'm going to have to be on guard constantly. I won't be able to relax. I trembled as I replayed the moment he killed the vector over and over in my mind. Lizzie peered at my face, clearly concerned. Just taking a shot in the dark here, but is that guy the reason you were looking so pale? Yeah. Earlier we spent some time outside of Tau. I'm scared of the way he acts. Yukinami's twisted innocence ironically made him the most dangerous vector of all. I can't go back to Theta, but I don't think I can stay here much longer either. Lizzie, can I talk to you about something? What's up? As soon as you're well enough to leave, let's take off together. Lizzie gazed back at me, astonished. She thought for a few moments, then nodded slightly. We could always... There's other colonies. We don't know that because we don't have the knowledge we had in Mihaya's route, but... I'll do my best to get mobile as soon as possible, which I also forgot, like, when we were looking, and it was like, oh yeah, ha ha ha. He was Ryuki, right? The same VA. And then it was funny because it's Junya Inoki. He's been in lots of other games. But somebody mentioned him today, like on Twitter. I saw like a mention, I think it was on Twitter or Reddit or something. And like the different roles and for some reason, like Radiant Tail came up and I was like, oh my god. Yeah, hi. He's Zephora too. Why is he always the salty bitch? He's always the salty little grouch. I love it. Oh, I mean, Mihaya and Ryuki aren't my favorites in their respective games, but we know how much I love Zephora. We know how much I love my salty clown prince. Okay, God, I love that bastard. But like, I'm just like, yeah, he's really typecast as the salty one, isn't he? I mean, that's 3 for 3. It's good enough for me. So funny. I'll do whatever I can on my end too. Let's both work hard to get out of here, okay? Alone together in the silent room, we nodded. Yeah, that's gonna go well. Once I left Lizzie, I did a personal tour of the area. I definitely plan to leave, but for now I have to stay put. I should familiarize myself with things around here. I found the sink area when I washed up the tray, but that's all I know so far. I don't know my way around this building at all. I constantly looked over my shoulder for Yukinami as I surveyed the building. There were a lot of rooms, and most of them were unused. It was no wonder Yukinami thought of moving into one of them. As Rio had suggested earlier, the building was well stocked with food and amenities. I found tons of supplies in a storeroom of sorts. I found what looked like a pantry, too. A note on the door said, "Don't leave the door open!" Yukinami's definitely the type to leave the doors open. I wonder who wrote that note, though. They sound like they have a thing for tidiness. Probably Hyuga. Well, could also be Moravia / Ibuki. I also found what appeared to be a kitchen. Good. If I need to, I can prepare food for Lizzie and myself here. I felt a little better. With some careful planning, things might go smoothly after all. Well, it's funny because, like, if this is like the little dorm room, yeah, all the rooms are open, like, where do Ibuki and Hyuga and Yukinami normally stay? Alright, I've scouted out most of the building. All that's left is... I should check around outside, too. And also, we don't know, we've never met Ibuki in this route, I don't think. But before I could go outside as planned, a pair of hands suddenly slipped over my eyes. I almost screamed hard enough to shatter glass. Guess who? It's Yukinami. Fear froze my body stiff. I would say Yukinami, right? I'm assuming Yukinami, right? Instead of not saying anything. Yeah. We gotta play along. We want to get on his good side because we don't want him hurting us. Yukinami, right? I answered promptly and tried to keep my voice from shaking. Ding ding! Did I scare you? Did I? Yeah, I almost jumped out of my skin. I wasn't lying. Yukinami had probably taken years off my life. I never even sensed you were close to me until you covered my eyes. Pretty amazing, aren't I? Aren't I? Yukinami's eyes sparkled. I gave him my honest answer. Yep, you sure are something else, Yukinami. That's not untrue. Woo! I'm something else! I'm something else! I sighed internally as Yukinami leapt for joy. The boyish smile of his makes it easy to forget how dangerous he actually is. When Yukinami was exuberant about something, he looked like a normal, happy boy. But you never really know what's going to set him off. How am I supposed to handle him going forward? I think I'm acting normal, but then I'll do something that puts him in a bad mood. Yukinami was staring at me, still wearing his innocent grin. So, where are you off to? My heart thudded in my chest. Did he overhear me talking to Lizzie just a moment ago? Did he catch our plans for escape? Where? Yeah, before I snuck up on you, you were talking to yourself about checking around outside. I would just be like, I'm just trying to get familiar with this place. Oh, right. Oh, phew, he only heard me talking to myself. If you're going out, I'll come too. Okay. By outside, I meant within Tao, just so we're clear. Doesn't matter. It's just fun to be with you. Nice. What's fun for him is psychological torture for me. I knew how cruel Yukinami was capable of being, like when he attacked us during the Vector's raid on Theta. And when he killed that Vector outside of Tao, he didn't even bat an eye. He's terrifying. So terrifying, I knew the smart thing to do was go along with what he wanted. If I refused his company, he'd probably get mad. No, not probably. He'd be angry for sure. I have no choice. Anyway, this is a better option than leaving him alone in the building with Lizzie. Okay, let's go then. All right, off we go. Yukinami was in high spirits, but my grin was fake. It must have looked like a funny pair. Once we left the building, Yukinami's good mood only continued. The hood of his jacket bobbed as he walked. Apparently, he had grabbed it from his room, just in case he felt like going outside. Vita's wall is falling down, falling down. He seems upbeat, like he's forgotten he's scared me half to death. Or maybe he doesn't care. In fact, I think he gets his kicks from scaring me. And he has no intention of stopping to think about how his antics might affect me. Inside, I was just one big, long sigh. Hey, where do you want to go now? If you want to know anything, I can totally fill you in. For now, I'm just good with looking around Tao. Would you like to give me a tour? If Yukinami was going to scare the pants off me, I might as well use my time productively. Yukinami grinned and nodded. Sure thing! Follow me! Yukinami gave me the grand tour of Tao, pointing out his favorite spots along the way. Good spots I know to avoid. Look, see that building? The view from the rooftop is amazing! I love hanging out there. Oh yeah, I get why the view would be great. Look, over there! See that wrecked building? I looked in the direction Yukinami was pointing and saw a big mound of rubble. It's clearly a building once upon a time. Even the tallest buildings will crumble into piles or rocks as time goes on, huh? My voice was a little melancholy, but Yukinami shook his head insistently. No, time didn't smash it up. I did. I love how he's so proud of himself. That's so. Why? I had to try out some cool moves. I was sparring against Hyuga. Wow, poor Hyuga. I can envision Hyuga struggling not to get overwhelmed, even though I barely knew them. But then I unleashed a really big attack, and it blew both Hyuga and the building away. Kaboom! See, the whole thing kind of lifted off its foundation and went tumbling down. No biggie, it was already falling over. Oh, what an amazing twist to your tale. Amazing? Yay! I didn't necessarily mean amazing in a good way, but Yukinami didn't seem to pick up on that. He really only has one brain cell, so. He continued to show me around Tao. I found myself watching the vectors a lot. Okay, listen. Okay, here's the thing. Yukinami's not my type because he's the adorable, bubbly little bro dude. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm the cute boy, whatever, and I'm a little tough and, spunky. You know what I mean? They're good characters, but they're not, my favorite love interest. But I have to say, for that type of character, he's kind of fucking fun because, I like the added, not oh, yeah, he's really tough and, endearing. She's he is terrifying and he's fucking insane and he really only has one brain cell and holy shit. He's just, he's an idiot. So he's got the, spunky, adorable idiot thing going on. But he's also, you're way too strong and, a sociopath. You've got that added twist to you, which just makes it slightly more disturbing. And I don't know, it's kind of fun. Kind of here, all right, it's different, sure, good times. They were just hanging out peacefully, standing next to their companions. I felt strange as I watched them. The vectors here are really calm, almost tame. I fought so many of them when I was with the Blooms, but that feels like a lifetime ago. It was a peaceful scene, but when I thought about how the vectors used to be humans, it made my heart ache. Then one of the vectors turned to me and began lumbering in my direction. Huh, that vector's got its eyes on me. But it wasn't acting aggressively, unlike the one that charged me outside. I quietly watched the vector approach. Yukinami noticed the vector too. He stood in front of me as if to wall me off from its line of sight. Okay, so here's the thing that's interesting about, oh, the vectors are just hanging out with their companions. But they're humans that have kind of lost their ability to human and they're now quote unquote monsters or animals. So that's their mate, probably. You know what I mean? And Yukinami is still acting similar to a vector where he's got an interest in you. Right? Whether he realizes what it is or not, obviously we know we're going to end up in a relationship with him. So another Vector being curious and coming up to you, and he's getting in front of you with this look on his face like, don't touch my fucking woman. This is mine. You know what I mean? It's like very like animal protecting its mate from other like potential suitors type of a thing going on. So I'm like, and she doesn't realize, she's like, he's just being crazy and he's attacking Vectors. It's like, that one that was charging at us, was it charging us to attack us? Was it just running up to us? You don't know. We don't know. We don't know. She said it's charging and it was running, but it could have been like a dog running at you doesn't mean it's going to lunge and jump at you to bite you. It could just lunge and jump at you because it wants to play and you're a human and you look like a fun human. Like, you don't know that what behavior it was exhibiting, right? She just knows it's coming at her and it's something that she's always been afraid of because she was, I don't want to say grew up, really, but it's like all her experience with Vectors is they are terrifying monsters who are trying to kill you. So this one could have been like, oh, cool, friend! And, you know what I mean? So, you don't really know what its intentions were. And Yukonami killing it is more like, don't fucking get all up in my... this belongs to me. Like, we're his property and he's gonna... you know what I mean? Like, he's kind of exhibiting those behaviors in a way. Like, and again, if we were playing a regular game and you didn't know if there was going to be romance in it, like, sure, you could be like, is he doing that? Is he just, like, trying to protect us, to keep us safe because we're his friend? But you know, because we're in a romance game, we're gonna date this boy, we're in his route, that this is pretty easy thing to, like, read into and go, yeah, he is doing this, like, again, he might not be aware of it, but he is definitely like, this is my mate, get away. You know what I mean? Because he still has that, like, he's half human, half Vector in a way. Like, he's still a person, but he doesn't quite get human things. So you know in certain instances he's going to act more like a Vector, which is going to act more an animal instinct, which in this case is the back off from my mate, bitch, even if he doesn't realize consciously what's happening. But, and she definitely doesn't, so it's kind of interesting. He was clearly trying to protect me from the Vector. I was surprised. Yeah, well, he's trying to protect you because you're his property. Why, though? Is he worried there'll be another incident like when the Vector outside charged me? I hadn't thought Yukonami would care so much about my well-being, but his actions said otherwise. Let's go! Yeah, Yukonami led me away from the Vector. It looked sad as it watched us go, but it didn't try to follow. Yeah, it's sad. Well, and again, you don't know, the Vector could have been like, oh, interesting, let me come up to this person and introduce myself type of thing. Like, again, you don't know that it's like coming up to you to be like, hey girl, what you doing? Or not, or coming up to you and be like, oh, new person to play with? Like a dog. You know what I mean? You don't know what's going on in there because they're not people anymore. So they don't have human thought. They have animal thought. So, you know what I mean? It could have just been like, ooh, interesting. These things, like, the way a dog sees human beings. You know what I mean? But Yukonami stepping in as like, don't touch my shit. Like, protect, you know, because he's still, again, part Vector, part human. Doesn't realize that, like, little animal instinct in his brain. It's kind of... it's bizarre, but it's kind of cute. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, I see what you're kind of doing. I don't know if you're trying to do that, but that's the way I'm reading into it. And it's like, it's interesting. And he certainly wouldn't want any Vectors to be your friends because something inside of him is like, no, mine. He doesn't even like Lizzie, so it's not even just a romantic thing. It's definitely he doesn't want anyone taking your attention away from him. We continued our tour of Tau. Every so often a Vector would take an interest in me. Each time Yukonami stepped in protectively. He's definitely determined to protect me. Is he kinder than I gave him credit for? Maybe. Maybe, maybe not. Could all just be my mate, or it could be like, yeah, be careful, this human's nice, we don't mess with them, you know what I mean? Like, it could be a little bit of both. I began to realize that I had no real idea what kind of person, or Vector, Yukonami really was. He killed a Vector in cold blood, and he seemed to get a big kick out of scaring me, but he also tried to protect me. He's kind but horrible? Doesn't make sense at all. Listen, yes it does. Girl, you have never played Otome games or like read any books, any kind of romance novels where like there's like the horrible man who just murders a bunch of people and is like the leader of the evil organization, but it's like, but you, I'm going to be sweet and wonderful and kind to because I just adore you. But I will rip those throats out of those motherfuckers that get anywhere near you. But you know I would never hurt you, precious. You know what I mean? And you're like, what the hell? Every vampire or werewolf. You've seen this trope done a million times, so here you go. She clearly has never read books. I spotted some tidy-looking houses during the tour. They were well-maintained and people were clearly living there. They're way different from the building we're living in now. I swear someone's tending to those little houses. Something caught your eye? Yeah, what's with that little house there? Is someone living in it? No, there. Sometimes there is. Sometimes there isn't. I surmised it wasn't a Vector living in the house, but Yukonami was being very vague. Do you mean a human lives there? Yukonami shrugged, uninterested. Yeah, I guess so. There are other humans living here. Thinking back to what Yukonami said, the other day I asked him if the only people living in Tau were Vectors, and he said mostly. I thought he was referring to me and Lizzie at the time, but there was seemingly more going on. Before I could get more out of Yukonami, he said something that made my stomach sink. Kinda sus human, though. Like you. Like me? Yukonami's words contained no malice, but I responded through tight lips. Uncle Yashima, remember? Forgot about him. Because again, if the title sequence is anything to go by and hinting at anything, there's another character we haven't met that might be who lives there. They're kind of sus. And he definitely looked kind of sus. In a pretty way, but still sus. Despite the circumstances, I must seem a bit sus for abandoning Theta and escaping here. Is that what he's getting at? I wonder what the person living in that house is like. What drove them to set down roots in a place like this? We probably won't find out until Ibuki or Ryo's route. My thoughts churned as I stared at the house. A frown slowly spread over Yukonami's face. Hey, you stopped looking at me. Oh, have I? Yeah, and when you stop looking at me, it's not fun anymore, you know? Reading Yukonami's moods was exhausting, but I let my guard slip for a moment. Yikes, what am I supposed to say? Sorry I've spoiled your fun? Hey, Spacey. As I struggled to come up with an answer, Yukonami gently called my name. He reached out his hand and stroked my neck softly, and then... What? Oh, and then he's choking me! Okay. Yukonami's fingers gripped my throat. Let go of me! His grip wasn't hard enough to strangle me, but I wasn't able to breathe properly either. He was on the cusp of shutting off my windpipe. I struggled to free myself, but Yukonami held on. Yukonami! There we go! Now I have your attention! He hurt me just for a laugh? His innocent smile was nothing but twisted. It's like, I love this, though. Because for a minute, like, he's protecting you, right? And you're like, okay, but it's probably, like, my property kind of protecting. Like, get away. She's mine. And, again, he might not be aware that there's a deep-seated romance aspect to it. But it's very much I want you paying attention to me. I'm jealous of anything that's going to take your attention away from me. Right? But you're like, but it's kind of sweet. Like, okay, he's not too bad. And she's like, he's nice but horrible. And you're like, exactly. Like, he does cold-blooded weird things. And then he chokes you. And you're like, oh, we were getting someplace. You're like, okay, yeah, he kills Vector, and now he's choking me. Okay, never mind. I mean, I swear to God, you try to give him a fucking inch, and he, like, backtracks a mile. Jesus. But I love it. You're like, Jay, you never know when he's going to choke you next. Cage anytime soon, maybe? I'm just saying. He's the it's surprising because his eyes are wide open all the time, but, like, he's got the squinty-eyed stabbiness. You know what I mean? The characters that always have their eyes closed. And you're like, they're the most sus motherfuckers ever. Yukonami should have been that character. Because he's he's a choky one, but choky, stabby, same difference. That look on your face. It's the same one you had before. I like it. I want to see him more and more. What happens when I do this, though? His grip around my neck tightened, and he started lifting me off the ground. I clawed at Yukonami's fingers, but he responded by stealing his hold. At this rate, I was seconds from passing out when... Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing, Moravia? Moravia? I told you, don't harm the girl. Unhand her at once. Okay, sure. Yukonami immediately let go of me. It was like Moravia hit a switch on him. Finally free, I sank down to the floor and gasped for air. That was beyond dangerous. Moravia looked unconcerned as I caught my breath. In fact, she was smiling. Well, what did you learn? Learn? It's like I told you. You know nothing. You're still completely in the dark. You won't be able to save anyone at this rate. Oh, right. Back when we met in Theta, girl, I didn't have time to learn anything. There was no oxygen getting to my brain for a minute. I was still shaky, but at least I could breathe again. I was even able to recall the conversation Moravia was referring to. It seems you remember. Moravia might be right in some regards. I couldn't save Lizzie, but she's implying I need to know more. You need to learn more about us. Stay close to Yukonami and get to know him. Yukonami, keep a close eye on her, all right? Don't play rough. Keep her in one piece. Yukonami shrugged off her light scolding without so much as a frown. Sure thing. I'll keep an eye on her. He threw his arm around my shoulder and hugged me. I saw the hand that nearly strangled me to death. I had to stay still. I couldn't show fear. At this point, I was just trying to survive. Moravia's put you in my hands. I feel like Yukonami's chew toy. Or his pet. And then his mate. I can talk, but what I say just doesn't register. It's like Yukonami and Moravia and I are thinking on different wavelengths. I couldn't chalk it up to them being vectors either. It just seemed to be the way they were. I recalled the agony of Yukonami's hand around my throat and realized I was in way over my head. The next morning, despite yesterday's events, I woke up refreshed. Wow, that was a really great sleep. I quickly went over yesterday's events as I slowly woke up. Yukonami seemed excited about the prospect of keeping an eye on me. When Moravia asked him to take charge of me, it made his day. Maybe he enjoys taking care of others? Nah, he reacted more like a kid who's excited about taking care of a new hamster. I was very despondent over being treated like Yukonami's new plaything. Well, stressing out won't help anything. I guess I'll go check on Lizzie for now. I peered into the room next door. She was asleep. She's got more color in her cheeks compared to yesterday, but it looks like she's a long way from being completely recovered. I have a bad feeling that, like, Yukonami's going to get so jealous that you even talk to Lizzie at all that he's going to kill her. Maybe in a bad ending. And I don't know how I could handle it, like, how you could get us, the main character, to fall in love with him and him kill Lizzie, you know? Unless his best end is like a bad end for other games where they're like, oh, he killed your best friend and now he's got you trapped in a room, but you'll come to like him. Being the Stockholm Syndrome, like, trapped in a cage shit, and you're like, I mean, that's an end. And sometimes those bad endings, you're like, they're fucked up, but okay, I'm here for it. Alright. It's wrong, so wrong, but okay. You know, but like, that's not a best ending, though, you know what I'm saying? I need to get Lizzie back on her feet if there's any hope of us getting out of here. She needs to eat to get her strength back. Yukonami always brings us meals from somewhere, doesn't he? I didn't want to rely on Yukonami if I could help it. I preferred to cook something from the food stores. But excluding Yukonami might make him mad. He seemed to take a lot of pride and joy in his job as a provider. I hate to go to him, but I guess I need to ask about food. I left Lizzie's room and searched for Yukonami. He said he'd be living in the same building, but which room is he in? Maybe he's not at home right now. I wasn't sure where to go, so I headed to the exit with the intention of checking outside. Ta-da! Food! Yukonami suddenly leapt in through the doors of the building, scaring me half to death. He knew you were coming. Yikes! There goes another 10 years off my life! His timing's so good, it's awful. I struggled to compose myself and put on a smile before taking the tray Yukonami offered me. I thanked him. Thanks. Don't mention it. He seemed to be in a good mood, so I decided to ask him about the food after all. Hey, this food's great. Who prepares the meals around here? Hyuga does. Told you he was chef boy. What? Really? Yeah, Hyuga's good at cooking. Are you shocked? Actually, yes. I'm not. When she was like, who makes the food? It can't be Yukonami. You're like, you know it's Hyuga. Because he's that, like, whatever, gruff attitude, and then he's, like, an amazing fucking cook, and he puts all the love he's incapable of into cooking. Just saying. You were like, yeah, not surprised. I knew Hyuga was a fearsome fighter. I couldn't picture him doing cozy domestic things like cooking hearty meals. I can. People really are more than what they seem. Though, come to think of it, I've only seen the side of Hyuga that fights. He seems to hate me, or maybe he hates humans, period. Still, he cooks great meals for me and Lizzie. He's surprisingly caring. Yeah, stare! Yukonami is like, you're thinking about Hyuga, aren't you? Yes, I am. Because this is actually good, because she's like, maybe Hyuga's like, actually, you're like, you know what, Hyuga's probably going to be that guy, that character. It's like, yeah, whatever. Ugh. Oh my god, your hair's a little messy. Let me get that out of the way. And it's actually going to be a big fucking marshmallow. It's going to be that cold on the outside, fluffy, soft marshmallow on the inside. You know, that character. And I was literally just like, he's probably actually like sweet and squishy on the inside, to be fair. And then Yukonami is staring at us with this intense anger in his face. And I'm like, yikes. Oops. Yukonami stared at me intently while I mulled over my thoughts. What? I like that face too. It's a good one. A realization flashed through my mind. He likes to provoke me to see my reactions. Yukonami didn't seem to want to hurt me, nor did he see me as an enemy. I wagered he liked me, but the thought didn't bring me any comfort. No, because he likes to torture you, like a sociopath. I was probably on the right track in thinking he saw me as a toy. Toys don't show pain, and they don't care how rough they're treated. Hey, after you're done eating, let's go have fun. Oh, right. Okay, once I'm done eating, then. I hesitated at Yukonami's invite, but I didn't want to make him angry again. In any case, my response satisfied him, and we ended up, like, how did you end up in a relationship with this guy? He seems evil. I just didn't want to make him mad, so I just kept saying yes, and then thought I'd try to avoid him, but he was just always there, and now we're married. I couldn't really say no. It's just terrifying, but I feel like, but that's how I ended up in this cage. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this cage. Yay! I can't wait. I brought Lizzie's meal to her room so she could eat it as soon as she woke up. Yukonami parked himself in there too. He clearly had no plans to leave. I didn't relish the thought of him following me to my room, so I sat down as well. I'm sorry, but if I were Lizzie and I woke up and these two chuckle fucks were staring at me while I was sleeping, I'd be annoyed. I'd be like, Spacey, you're one thing, but like this weirdo? No, I don't think so. Get the hell out of my room. I picked up my fork and started eating. Yukonami watched me the whole time. Aren't you gonna eat, Yukonami? I ate already. I'll just wait till you're done. He's really planning to wait then. I couldn't enjoy my meal with Yukonami watching over me like a hawk, so I scarfed it down. When I was done, Yukonami leapt from his chair. You're done, right? Then let's go. Yeah, sure. My heart was heavy as I followed Yukonami. He skipped ahead, clearly in a great mood. I know she's like, I'm so depressed I have to hang out with him. Hey, so where are we going? Oh, that's me. Hey, so where are we going? I was like, why is he asking us that? Anyway, outside again. The outside world? What for? To do something fun, obviously. Yukonami's idea of something fun... I couldn't say anything out loud, but the prospect was chilling. Yukonami's perception of fun and interesting varied widely from my own. But despite my massive reservations, I had no choice but to go along. Where are we going? You'll see soon enough. Yukonami seemed to have a destination in mind, but he wasn't about to tell me. As a result, we walked for a long time without me having any idea of where we were going. Yukinami barely said a word. He just hummed happily to himself. Talking to Yukinami makes me nervous, but walking with him in near silence makes me even more nervous somehow. The longer the silence endured, the more I was certain Yukinami was going to do something to me. Yukinami... I finally spoke up, unable to bear the silence any longer. You've been living in Tao for a long time, right? But where did you live before that? The same place as you, of course. Yukinami's face lit up at my question. He was just happy to talk about himself. The same place as me? You mean Theta? Yep, that's the one. His reply made something click in my mind, and a new possibility occurred to me. Is it possible he wasn't a Vector when he lived in Theta? It was near impossible to imagine Yukinami living like a normal human being in the colony. But what if he was a different person then? Thinking about it, Yukinami and the other sentient Vectors seemed a lot like Lizzie. So that means they were also attacked by Vectors and then got antibody shots that prevented them from transforming fully? It's totally feasible, but it's all just conjecture on my part until Yukinami tells me himself. Or you could just ask, because he doesn't seem to be upset when you ask questions about himself. He likes it, so. Yukinami peered at my face as I gave his potential history deep thought. I like that look on your face, too, but I prefer the expression you showed me earlier. I immediately flashed back to him choking me. My hand flew up to my neck. What are you planning to do? Did I scare you? Don't worry, I wasn't about to choke you again. Moravia told me not to, after all. Now that we're out in the wide open world, let's have some real fun. Yukinami grabbed my hand and started running. Come on, faster! Wait up! I wasn't running as much as I was being dragged. Faster, faster, come on! Too fast, please, just hold on a sec. Yukinami seemed deaf to my pleas. He just picked up speed and kept going. Soon we were flying along at an incredible pace. I get the feeling Yukinami would just drag me along the ground if I stumbled and fell. I better make sure I don't lose my footing. I transformed, of course, so even at this speed I was more or less able to keep up. But I had no breath left for speaking. All I could do was run alongside him toward the fun he had planned for me. Which is concerning. After running for a while, the landscape began to look somewhat familiar. This area, I remember seeing it along the way when we brought Lizzie from Theta to Tau. Is Yukinami heading toward Theta again? Stop! Yukinami applied the brakes when he saw something. I screeched to a halt as well. He looked scared. What's up? Look, over there. I looked in the direction he was pointing and spied people up ahead in protective suits. Are they surveying the land? Maybe they're researchers from Theta. The only people who had any reason to leave Theta were people doing research and things of that nature. But they could only spend limited amounts of time outside the colony, even with their suits, which meant Theta had to be nearby. Well, you're really staring at them. Do they interest you or something? No, that's not it. I tried to give a nonchalant answer. Yukinami got annoyed quickly when he wasn't the center of attention. I was just wondering why they're out here. Well, whatever. Watch this. I'm gonna mess them up. You're gonna... What? It took a few seconds, but the meaning of what Yukinami just said sank in. Wait! Yukinami seemed prepared to run toward the people, but he actually stopped when I yelped. Why? Why do you want to attack them? Huh? Hello, Captain Obvious. Because it's fun? I promise we do something fun, right? And you'd be like, that's fun for you, but not fun for me. Messing with them is your idea of fun? I couldn't follow his line of thinking at all. I'm kind of curious how we're going to end up romancing this boy. It's true, Yukinami had attacked countless people by now. I feel like we're forced into it. You're like, I'm in a relationship with Yukinami, and he has nice moments, but he terrifies me, but I really have no choice. I'm kind of stuck here now. And it's going to be, I feel like that's where we're going, because I'm like, I'm not sure how she's going to, like, just snap and find him endearing. You know? I don't think he's going to magically change and be like, I don't want to attack people anymore because you said it was bad. You know what I mean? I don't think we're going to have that magical effect on him, so it's going to be interesting. It's true Yukonami had attacked countless people by now, but I couldn't understand why he dragged me all the way here to make me watch him do it. He's trying to show off. Stop! Don't do it! But I always attack people. It's what I do. Why stop me from doing it now? It's not a matter of now versus then, though. Attacking people was always wrong. And you're just over here announcing that you're doing it again? Of course I'll stop you. I was desperate for Yukonami to understand me, but he just stared at me blankly. Then the corner of his mouth twitched. Nice. I like that face, too. What? If you make that face from just hearing me say I'm going to attack humans, what do you look like if I actually do it? I brought you out here because I want to see all your expressions. That's more than I dreamed of. Yukonami was looking enraptured. I simply stared, unable to process what he was saying. What are you? Yukonami's words didn't compute. What was he even saying? He was no better than one of the mindless vectors that attacked Theta. No, he's far worse than them. He's calculated. He plans to attack humans just to get a sick thrill out of my reaction. Vector, yeah, he's way worse than them because vectors are doing it mindlessly. They're just like controlled, like attack, and they're like, okay. They're not thinking about it. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know the right from wrong, the morality of it. Yukonami knows. I mean, not exactly. He's got no morals, but you know what I mean? He's like, I'm gonna kill people and then I'll see her. But like, he's a psychopath. Something deeper and stronger than mere fear billowed up within me. I think we need to punch him. I bet you'll make a great face, like you did when I killed that vector. I had to react to that. Slap Yukonami in the face, glare at Yukonami. I want to slap him in the face. Can I slap him in the face? I feel like that's the bad choice, but it might be the bad choice. Slapping Yukonami in the face. Do 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 do. Sorry, I had to go on. Slap him in the face! Fuck yeah! He likes it. You know, actually, I love... Oh my god, and we get a CG! Oh my god, we get a CG of him being slapped in the face. Good for us. Before I knew it, I'd reached out and slapped Yukonami's face. You know what, though? I'm not actually... I was kind of thinking, like, oh, slapping him's probably a bad thing. But you know what? I bet nobody's ever slapped him, so it's a new experience for him, and... You know? And he's like, oh, I like it when you hit me. Oh, good God. He likes it when we get rough. Woo, this doesn't bode well. What? Stop talking nonsense. You want to kill humans just to see what expression I'll make? Hurting people for your own amusement. That's utterly sick. Yukonami seemed completely taken aback. He just stared at me. You're like, this is the face I make. The pissed off face. Sorry, buddy. I had the itch under my headset and I accidentally poked you. Sorry, buddy. Why'd you hit me? Apparently my words didn't register with Yukonami. He was just focused on the fact that I'd slapped him in the face. He still doesn't get why I'm upset. The slap didn't seem to do what I'd intended. No, it turned him on, though, probably. Why do you keep trying to do such horrible things? You said you planned to attack humans just to see what kind of face I'd make. You can't hurt people for the sake of fun. But you just attacked me. You did exactly what I'd planned to do. I hate you to stop you from doing something terrible. You try to hurt humans for no good reason, right? It's very different from the reason why I just slapped you. Good and bad means different things to different people. What makes you so sure that you're right? I don't think it's up to you to decide whether I'm right or wrong. That's what I think anyway. Well, Yukonami was wrong, but I could feel the danger radiating from his words, so I didn't argue back. I really blew that argument, but I still can't let him hurt those people. Yukonami grinned as I stood there worrying. Changed my mind. No human hunting today. What? Seriously? For a shining second, I thought I'd gotten through to him, but I was dead wrong. Attacking some boring old humans is lame. Playing with you sounds a ton more fun. It should be sounds like, because... Playing? Yep, like this. Whoa! Yukonami suddenly launched an attack on me, which I dodged by the skin of my teeth. I didn't get through to him at all.
Wow, nice dodge. I didn't put much effort into that one, though.
What are you doing? That was dangerous.
You mad? That's a great face, too.
He wasn't actually listening to a word I was saying. Yukonami isn't someone you can reason with. What do I do? Oh, attack Yukonami. I can't attack him. Turn and run. I feel like I want to turn and run, but that's probably going to get us dead, and attacking Yukonami doesn't sound like... Sounds like a good idea, but also a bad idea, and I can't attack him as, like, what are we going to do? Just stand there and do nothing? Actually, I can't attack him, probably, if you think about it, as, like, I'm just going to stand here, and then he's going to... That's... Well, if you're not going to do anything, it's not fun anymore, you know what I mean? He's looking for your reactions. He's baiting you, so if you attack him, that's going to incite him more. If you run, it's going to incite him more. You do nothing. He's like, this is boring. So I'm going to go with I can't attack him. Oh, another save file. Fun times. Fun times. I can't attack him. What did I say? Because doing something will incite him. And I don't think he knows how to control himself, so I feel like attacking him or running is just going to get you killed. I can't attack him, though. If I attacked him head on, I might really hurt him. The thought kept me from even considering it. No, that's not the thought process I had, but okay. I'm pretty sure Yukonami would be able to dodge anything I lobbed at him, but still, I can't do it. Yukonami kept on attacking relentlessly, and I continued to evade. Took everything I had to dodge them.
Hey, why are you running away? You can't just do that. Huh, this is boring. Maybe attacking those humans over there would be more fun after all.
No, you can't! I finally aimed an attack at Yukonami's feet. He dodged it lightly, grinning with amusement.
Ha, see? That was a good attack. I knew playing with you would be tons more fun.
I have to keep Yukonami distracted in order to protect those people. I'm gonna have to take him on with everything I've got. I steeled myself and squared off against Yukonami. He battered me with his attacks, but I was able to keep dodging them.
Dodge!
Yukonami's enjoying toying with me. If he was serious, I'd be dead meat by now. I wasn't getting anywhere by simply dodging, though. I lobbed an attack at him. Shoot, he's so fast, I can't hit him.
Ha! Slowpoke! Try again!
Can't let this become a war of attrition. I need to get back to Tao before I collapse. If I could make it back to Tao, I could get Moravia to stop Yukonami for me. Moravia did tell Yukonami not to hurt me, though I wasn't sure why. Yukonami seems to have forgotten what Moravia said, but if he saw her, he wouldn't be able to disobey. My legs were shaking, but I turned and started running away from the researchers.
Whoa! I've never seen that face before! Such determination!
Yukonami apparently thought we were playing chase. He ran beside me, but he playfully poked me in the shoulder instead of trying to stop me. He doesn't really want to attack me. I guess that's the one saving grace in this mess. I dodged Yukonami's poking and prodding as I focused on running as fast as possible. Okay. We were kind of in the middle of that scene, so like, and now the screen is shaking. Don't look at it. Oh my good lord. I know we're running, but like, oh my god, it's wobbling my brain. So I'm going to end this fast. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.